Fine Fitness podcast. In today's episode, we are talking about, are you actually stuck in a weight loss plateau and what to do if you are stuck in a plateau, okay? I want to be breaking down how to identify plateaus and what you should do to get out of one, because we are all here to see results. We're all here to make progress, okay? And I know being stuck in plateaus can definitely be frustrating. So what are my credentials? Well, I've lost about 50 pounds myself. I have competed in a bodybuilding show. I got very lean. And I've been online coaching women for the last 5 years now, almost 5 years, which is crazy to say, but I'm going to be breaking down how to identify plateaus, and what to do to get out of a weight loss / fat loss plateau, or just any plateau in your fitness journey. Okay. So you know that feeling when you feel like you're working really hard, you're doing everything you should be doing, you're eating healthy, you're exercising, and you've been at this for a few weeks, and then you step on the scale and you're like, what the heck? It's still the same, or maybe even it's up 2 pounds, and you just start spiraling. You're like, this isn't working. Oh my gosh, I should just quit. And then you get really sad, and it's not fun. Okay, it's not fun. We've all been there, but if you are here right now, you are not alone. Okay, so I want to be breaking down just some tough love questions to ask yourself if this feels like you, if you are resonating with this. First and foremost, are you actually in a plateau, or are you just not being consistent? Is there some protocols that we can really clean up here? Because here's the thing, a lot of the times people will say they're stuck in a plateau, but they are not actually stuck in a plateau. They're just not being consistent. They are not actually consistent with their nutrition protocols. They aren't actually tracking macros. They're actually skipping workouts. They're falling off track on the weekend. They're not tracking everything they're eating. Like, there is a lot of improvements that can be made before just saying, oh, I'm stuck in a plateau. And I will identify, and I'm going to break down exactly like what a plateau looks like. But for example, if you are someone who's like, maybe you are working out and you're consistent with that, but maybe you are not as consistent with your nutrition. So if you want to lose body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You could be doing things right now that are putting you out of your calorie deficit. And maybe you're not doing it on purpose, but you are just, doing things that are putting you out of your deficit. For example, you have days where you're just snacking outside of your calories. You're just like bored, you're binge eating, you're eating outside of your calories. Maybe you're going out to eat on the weekend and you're really overdoing it. Like, you are consuming like 3,000 calories in one day. That is not a plateau. You are just not consistent. You are not actually consistent with your calories, with your macros. I'm on mute. How am I on mute? Oh, can you guys hear me? Hello? Let me know if this is working. I don't know why I'm on mute right now. Oh, I'm not on mute. Now I'm good. Okay, I was like, what do you mean I'm on mute? Okay, I need to redo my little audio recording here. But where was I? What was I saying? Are you actually in a plateau, or are you just not being consistent? Okay, because if you are not tracking everything, you are eating outside of your calories, you are binging, you are going out to eat, you're maybe drinking alcohol, it's not a plateau, it's your consistency and it's your adherence. Another example is maybe you are not tracking everything. You're not tracking every day. You are not tracking all of your meals you're eating. Maybe you're just tracking like a few things here and there. Maybe at work they're bringing in like donuts or food or candy or whatever, and you are, eating that. Maybe you are not tracking the creamer you put in your coffee. If you are cooking with oils and butter and you're not tracking that, these things add up, you guys. I know it sounds like it doesn't add up, but like 100 calories here, 100 calories there, 100 calories there, you could be like 1,000 calories over, like 2,000 calories over for the week, just from making these mistakes. So this is when you really got to be honest with yourself. Like, am I actually in a plateau, or am I just not being consistent? And that's why I'm really focusing in on this, because 99% of the time, or 9 times out of 10, it's not that you're actually in a plateau. It's that you are not being consistent. You're not actually being adherent. You're skipping workouts. You're not actually, consistent with your nutrition. So that's why it's important to make sure you are tracking your food, because if you're not tracking your food, how do you know if you're in a deficit or not? Okay. Now, second thing, are you actually in a plateau or do you just have water retention? Especially for women, I know we can get a little emotional with the scale, but just because the scale is up 2 pounds doesn't mean that you are in a plateau. We actually have water retention. We have water fluctuations, and the scale is going to go up and down every day, every week. It is going to fluctuate depending on your stress levels, if you are traveling, if you're on your period, or it's before or after your period, or you ate a big meal at night. You probably wake up in the morning, you're still digesting, so you've got food in your stomach, the scale is up. There's so many factors of like what goes into that scale weight. It's not like you're not losing and gaining 2 pounds of fat overnight. It doesn't work that way. It's anytime the scale's up like 2 to 3 pounds or 5 pounds in a day or a week, it's usually just water. Okay, so a real plateau, I would define an actual plateau is you have been very adherent and consistent for 4 weeks straight. You've gotten on all of your workouts. You're hitting your step count goal. You're staying within your macros and your calorie deficit. And it's been 4 weeks, like a good solid 4 weeks, and you're still in a plateau. Now I would consider that, okay, now let's make some changes. Like, what can we look into further? But a lot of the times women will just say, oh, I'm stuck in a plateau, when it's their adherence, it's their consistency, or it's just that they've got some water retention that week. So you need to actually take a step back and look at your entire journey as a whole and not just like the day-to-day little things, okay? So let's talk about what to do if you are actually in a plateau. So if you have made it into this group of people, which it's a very small percentage of you, but if you are one of the few people who has actually been adherent, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Like, how many times have you gone out to eat this last 30 days? How many times have you binged or, were snacking outside of your calories? How many times have you, had eaten little things that were outside of your calories? Like, you need to be very, very honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, then it's going to be really hard for you to make progress. So if you actually have been adherent for the last 4 weeks, you've hit every protocol. Now we need to take a look at, okay, I'm still in a plateau. Do we drop further into a calorie deficit, or do we maybe need to do a diet break or reverse diet? So usually if you're at the beginning of your calorie deficit, like you just started maybe like a month or two ago, you probably do have room to maybe decrease your food further and get deeper into the deficit. So our bodies need to they like to maintain. They like to stay in homeostasis. So anytime you're eating at a current caloric intake, your body's going to adapt to that and you're just going to maintain there. So we need to always be, like, if you want to build muscle, you've got to be in a surplus. If you want to lose fat, you need to be in a deficit. Like, we need to challenge our body and throw our bodies out of that homeostasis or that maintenance. So after you've been at a certain caloric intake for a while, now your body's probably maintaining. And that is why you are in this plateau now. So if you're at the beginning of your deficit, and this is why, side note, this is why I don't like to start clients off by like slashing calories in half and doing a bunch of cardio, because like you just played all your cards at once, girl. So when you hit a plateau, you're screwed. You already did everything. You're already barely eating. You're already doing all this cardio. That is why it's so important, you guys, to invest in help, to invest in having a coach and doing it the right way, the smart way, because a good coach is not going to crash diet you and try and get you to lose weight as fast as possible. They're going to look at the long-term journey and be strategic with it, which is why most of our clients coming into our program, I do not even add any cardio. I just get them to do a step count goal and consistent with macros, and that right there puts them in a deficit already. They start to lose weight. Maybe 4 weeks go by, we've been consistent, and now we want to see some more progress. Okay, since we didn't start off with all this cardio and dropping our food too low, now I have room to maybe drop our food a little bit or like add some cardio. So don't play all your cards at once. You gotta be strategic with it. Okay, so if you're at the beginning of your deficit, you can either drop your calories a little bit. It's not a huge drop. You're not dropping them in half, okay? Again, you wanna be strategic. I usually do like a 10 to 15% deficit. You don't need anything crazy, okay? Or cardio. Maybe you can add a little bit of cardio. Again, don't go crazy. I talked to some women who are doing like an hour and a half on the Stairmaster, and I'm like, I did not even do that much cardio, you guys, when I was in prep for my competition. Like, I'm talking sprinkle in like 10 to 15 minutes okay, post-workout. You don't need that much. You can do like a couple times a week. But again, this is only if you have been consistent in the last 4 weeks, you've hit a plateau, you've been very consistent. Now we can maybe think about adding some more things. Okay, now if you're someone who has been in this deficit for a while, you've been trying to lose weight the last like 6 months, and maybe you're at this place where you're already eating pretty low calories. You're already getting very tired. You're very hungry. It's hard for you to adhere to the calories. Maybe you are already doing a lot of cardio. Let me ask you guys this. Does it make sense to drop your calories more if you're already eating very, very low? No, you're probably just not going to be able to adhere to them. You're going to like binge, and then you also have no energy because you're barely eating. So there is a point where it's not smart to keep dropping your food. It's not just about eating less and less and less and less and doing more and more and more cardio. There are some cases where, obviously we have room to do that. But again, there are cases where, and this is why everyone's journey is different. It's important to have a game plan because there are cases where it's not safe to keep dropping your food and to keep adding more cardio. Okay, so if you are this person, you might need to do a reverse diet now or a diet break. Okay, I do this with clients. Essentially, it's just a diet break is a break from your diet. You don't go off and binge for like 2 weeks straight, but you bump your calories back up to your maintenance. You eat a little bit more food for a couple weeks. This gives your body a break from the deficit, gives your body some time to, adapt to higher calories, and then you can go back into your deficit, and then usually you start seeing progress again. Or if you are someone who, again, you've been in your deficit for a while, maybe it's been like 6 months to even a year. I've had some clients who have been in a deficit for a year and they just keep dropping weight. And that's great. Their body's responding still. But at one point, you do hit a plateau. So at that point, it's probably time for a reverse diet where you need to increase your calories slowly over time and you build up your maintenance calories again, you build up your metabolism again, and you get stronger. You focus on building muscle before you can do your next round of a calorie deficit. So you might not reach you will not reach your end goal, your ultimate end goal, dream physique, just by one round of a deficit. Like, sure, you can make great progress and you can see great progress in a year, but you're probably not going to reach your dream physique in just like 6 months or 12 months or your first calorie deficit, your first reverse diet. I have been on this journey for 8 years and I still have goals for myself. So I always tell clients, like, just embrace every season. Embrace the highs and the lows, the calorie deficits, the reverse diets, because you're going to have ebbs and flows. You're going to have ups and downs, and you need to embrace every season. I'm a great example of this because I did a calorie deficit for my show, and then I am now in my reverse diet. And I've gained some weight back, but we're in like my building season right now. And so if I want to lose more weight or lose more body fat in the future, I will have the room to do that now because I have been, the last 6 months, 5 to 6 months, I've been working my calories up with my coach. I'm eating a lot of food. I do have very little cardio right now. So there's seasons, and you have to be strategic with your fitness journey. It's not just about going all in, 0 to 100 real quick, slashing calories in half, doing all this cardio. Or if you're like a complete beginner, I see women do this all the time. They're just starting their fitness journey, and for the first time, they're wanting to lose weight, and they like jump into 75 hard. It's like literally 0 to 100 real quick. Okay. And like for me, if you are a beginner to your fitness journey within the first 1 to 2 years, and you haven't even mastered the lifestyle and the habits, and you're not consistent, doing something like 75 hard is not a good idea because you're going to be so extreme. You're probably not going to be able to adhere to that. And then after it's done, you're just going to want to like do a huge binge cheat day, and then you just gain all the weight back. So instead of doing something extreme, focus on making small lifestyle changes that are sustainable. Now, I'm not hating on 75 hard. I do think if you want to challenge yourself and you are more advanced on your fitness journey and you want a fun way to challenge yourself and you're already consistent, like it's already your lifestyle, then sure, challenge yourself. I mean, I did a bodybuilding competition prep. That's pretty much the same thing. But it was like after I had been on my journey for so many years. So I hope that this was helpful for you to realize if you are truly in a plateau right now, or if you're just not consistent, or is it just water retention? Like, again, most of the time, 99% of the time, it has to do with your overall adherence and your consistency. Because if you're not tracking macros, if you are not consistent with your nutrition, if you are going out to eat multiple times per week, if you are drinking alcohol often, these are all things that hold your progress back. Like, you can't expect to binge and go out to eat and have a huge cheat meal every week and then snack outside of your calories and then be like, why am I in a plateau? Girl, come on. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to be real with yourself. You need to actually look in the mirror and say, oh, me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Okay. Taylor Swift told us that. Okay. But I'm not saying this to be mean or to make you feel bad about yourself. I think this is the first step in getting better, is realizing, okay, these habits are not aligning with my goals. I have a lot of room for improvement. And then you invest in a coach to help you overcome these struggles so you can start actually making progress. Okay, so that is it for this podcast episode. If you liked it, please screenshot this and share it to your stories and tag me. It's at Hallie June Fit on Instagram. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. If you also want to see my face too and my YouTube videos, I've been grinding on the YouTube. I love YouTube. The videos have been fun to make, and I have a lot of very valuable and helpful like fat loss, muscle building, getting lean as a woman. So if you are interested in that, go to my YouTube channel. It's Hallie Jimenez on YouTube too. But thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye!